Hey girl, hey! Welcome back to Robyn Scherer Photography. Today I'm going to talk about masking, and we are going to mask off subjects and skies and see how that function works within Lightroom and how it can help you to edit better and make your images pop. So let's get started. So we'll start with this image. I'm going to reset it. And so this is Sook straight out of camera, and I'm going to apply my basic preset. Obviously the colors are a little bit off, so what we're going to do is find a mid-tone, a gray, or a white. So I will actually use this image just because it's a little bit cuter, so let's reset that. So we'll do the basic preset, and I'm going to zoom in and use her teeth for setting the white balance. So I'm going to grab the eyedropper, and I'm going to click on her teeth here. We're going to get a little bit better tones here. So if you click the backslash button, that will give you before and after. So I don't love the tones yet. I want to warm it up, but this is a good starting point. So I'm going to warm it up, and then I'm going to brighten it up. I feel like her skin tone is starting to get creamy. I'm going to grab the crop tool, and you know I like a good 8x10. So I'm going to zoom in on her a little bit here, make that an 8x10. I'm going to put her on the rule of thirds. That will draw the viewer's eye into the subject. And we'll hit enter to accept that. I feel like she's a little bit dark. Now you could do a few things here to lighten her up. I could definitely just use the exposure button, but just for kicks, let's say I want the background to stay this color. Let's use the masking tool. So we're going to click here, and this is you're adding a new mask. So you could say person. I'm going to say subject. She is obviously the main subject in the image. So it will now mask her off. So from here, all the sliders are set to 0. So I will click on the exposure here first. Once I click there, you're able to use your arrow keys to go up or down. So I'm going to go up, and you can watch her come to life here. And it masked her off pretty great. So I feel like that looks amazing. I could definitely warm her up if I wanted using the temperature slider. So I can warm her up a teeny bit. And I could even make her a little brighter now. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to check her skin tone. So I'm going to zoom in, put that back to 100. I'm going to grab the dropper, and I'm going to test her skin tone. So you want to put the dropper on a mid-tone area. A lot of times that's the bridge of the nose. And you can see the RGB at the bottom of the target. You're shooting for 75, 65, 55 with a Caucasian person. So you can see we're within a couple points of that. I like that. That's great. I can definitely change the numbers by upping the temperature and seeing if I want to make that a little bit warmer. And then we'll check her skin tone again. So now you can see it's a little bit further off now. It's not as close as it was. So we'll bring it down a little bit. We'll bring up the exposure hair. Test it one more time. Let's go to a mid-tone. Another RGB number you can use for Caucasian is 85, 78, 68. You can see that the numbers here are pretty close. As long as you're within a couple points, it works. And obviously you can look at the skin tone and see if it's creamy or not. I think this looks great. I'm going to leave it. I'll go ahead and finish editing by adding a little eye pop with my brush. I already have an eye pop brush that I've made. I call it Sharp Eyes, and I'll just pop it on her eyes, and it just clarifies them, makes them pop a little bit. If you wanted to, you could smooth her skin tones. So I'm going to grab that here. And I also have a skin brush. I call it Skin Smooth. And I'll just rub it on her skin. Just kind of smooth it out. It just kind of gives your subject a little pop. So backslash for before, after, and I think she looks pretty good here. So let's move on to the sky. Now, if I scroll down to another image here, let's go into the fields where we were. I can show you how to mask off the sky. So let's get a little bit further here. We'll use this one just for kicks. There's some sky. I can tell you with the before, there wasn't a lot to reclaim here, but I will show you the sky mask. So we'll go back to here. This is Sook. This is straight out of camera. I'm going to go ahead and pop on my preset, and that's colors I don't love. I'm going to grab the eyedropper, hit something white or gray. That's a little bit too pink, but we can start here. So you already know it's too magenta. So we're going to pull that down. We're going to boost the warmth, pull down the magenta a little more. Now you can see when it gets too green there. You can see it. So we'll move it back up a little bit, move the temperature up. We'll bring the exposure down a hair. It's starting to get that more sunset feel, more glowy feel. So again, I'll test skin tone. So I'll come here, I'll test her skin tone. She's at, yeah, she's close, 77, 68, 52. Again, we were shooting for 75, 65, 55. Anyways, I like this. I think their skin tone looks beautiful. So I'm going to leave that. Let's mask off the sky. So we'll hit the mask button, and here, subject, sky, background. Let's do the background just for kicks. So that's the entire background. Let's say we felt it was too bright. So we can bring it down, and you can see it working on the background. You can create a new mask. So let's go ahead and do that, and we'll say select the sky. It should do everything above the mountains, and it did. So what we'll do here, again, these are all set to 0. You can move all of these. Let's go to extreme so you can see how they work on the sky. So if I want to pull that down on the sky, pull down contrast, pull down highlights, we get crazy and pull down the shadows all the way. It doesn't make a huge difference here. The whites, huge difference. You can see that, and it makes a line here. You don't want to see that. So we'll pull the whites back up. Blacks, again, you get weird coloring up here. But that's just to show you, if you double click, it puts them all back to 0. So most likely I'll just pull the exposure down a shade just so it's not completely white and blown out. So if we do before, after, you get a little bit more green in the background in the mountains here. We already checked their skin tones, so we know that that looks great. So I think the last thing I would do here is I would crop it, and I'd probably center them. I did want to keep the cows. It's part of the aesthetic of Cal Poly. They're at Cal Poly. They're Cal Poly grads. So I wanted to keep the cows. We did that on purpose. We shot there on purpose. So definitely want to keep those in the background. I would not edit them out. So I like that. I think that's a good stopping point. One other thing we could do is go back to the beginning here and take a peek at this background. So let's do a reset. Let's pop on the preset. Again, colors are off, hit a gray, white, so we can get a better starting point. That looks a little bit more normal. We'll warm it up, brighten it up. So here again, we can click the background here, and let's brighten the background. Or we can darken the background and really make her pop. Let's grab the subject and make her pop. So all of a sudden, you really pulled her from the background. So there's lots you can do with the mask. So if you want, you can grab an image and just play around with it and see the extremes and really get a feel for it. So that's it for masks today. I hope you learned something. Go ahead and click on my other videos, hit subscribe to follow me, and hopefully you learned something today. And with that, take care, and I will see you soon.